Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Q Show. My name is Jennifer Quinn, and I'm your host of the Daily Q. What I do is interview people who have demonstrated excellence in their fields. And the reason I do this is because I'm fascinated at what makes people tick. Today's guest, I'm so excited to have on. I've known her for several years, and I'm excited to find out more of what she does. She is an intuition coach, and I want to find out all things intuition. So join me in welcoming Suzanne Michelle. Suzanne, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here.
Thanks so much. You know, I think we've got a little echo.
I don't hear it over here. Does anybody else hear the echo? We've taken care of the echo, and now we're ready to get started. Suzanne, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, it's so great to be here. And you know what, Jenny, I think we met about 10 years ago.
No, we didn't.
Yes, Business Networking International. I think we were doing a community business networking thing.
Well, that makes sense because I was really involved with BNI back then.
Yeah.
Well, my apologies for not remembering.
I remember you. I never forget a face.
Well, it's the intuition probably at work.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. How cool was that? Okay, that's awesome. But then, my memory of meeting you was like 3 or 4 years ago. We had some mutual friends, and I saw you at one of the events, and then I started paying attention to what you were doing online, and I thought you had amazing marketing going on. And then I started watching your YouTube videos, and I was like, okay, this woman is on to something, and I want to know more. And every time I subscribed, of course, to your YouTube channel, and every time you posted something new, I'd watch it. So I'm really pleased that you're here so we can talk more in depth about intuition. So before we dive right into that, tell us a little bit about your background.
So, okay, my background, let's see. As far as an intuition coach or just in general?
Just in life in general.
Yeah, so I was born in Southern California. I was a Southern California girl. And at 22 years old, I decided to move north. So I ended up moving to Boise, Idaho, and I've been here for the last 21 years. So next year, I'll have that equal part 22 years of Southern California and 22 years of Boise, Idaho. And my background is I have an electronics degree as my academic education, formal education. And then I also am in the healing arts, doing massage therapy and also intuition coaching. So over the years, I've kind of developed a way to bridge the gap between my rational, linear mind and my artistic, creative, intuitive mind. And I found a way to help others do the same.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that makes it so valuable what you do, because you do have the engineering background. So it's very, pragmatic and, literal, right? And then you combine it with kind of what a lot of people call the woo-woo stuff. Yeah. Very cool. So how do you define intuition?
It's just, it's irrational data. It doesn't make sense at the time that you get the information, because it's like this. It's like you get a big packet of information, and then you have to backtrack and kind of almost reverse engineer the big picture. So it's very irrational when you get this information, because it holds the subtle energies of your thinking mind. And what I mean by that is the tangible energies are like your eyes can see, your ears can hear, your mouth can speak. You know what I mean? Right. Whereas the subtle energies are you kind of feel an inner knowing, or you hear an inner voice, but it's not like you're hearing words, you're just sensing it. And so that subtle energy is just a sensation, but you can't really put your finger on it. It's like you can't take a bite out of it.
Yeah.
So what we do with that is, depending on our level of awareness, so depending on how aware we are of that subtle energy is really dependent on whether we act on the intuition or not. So if we're in a state of denial, like I can't believe what I just saw, right? We're not going to be able to see the intuition, like a vision that we had. If we're not in a space of really believing our inner vision or believing in ourselves, it's going to be really challenging to actualize that vision.
Interesting. Can you give
Yeah,
me
so
a real life example? Or not necessarily one from your life, but
yeah,
just
okay.
what does
So
that look like in our everyday life?
let's see. Say you're at work and you're not really happy about the work that you're doing and you want to change jobs. And you get this like bolt of insight of, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to, like in my case, do massage therapy. So this was like years and years and years ago. So I'll use myself as an example. And but then I thought, oh, no. That's not a respectful job. This is back in like 1998 or whatever. And I had this insight. So at that time, it was not really mainstream in the sense of like, in hospitals and all that. So I thought, oh, no, I can't do that. And the reason why I felt a schism of what I wanted and then what my rational mind was saying was because I was still in a space of wanting approval, wanting to be seen as valuable. So that was going to dampen and help me to deny my inner knowings. So depending on where we are on our awareness level of who we are as a person is really dependent on whether we can act out on those intuitions or not. And I don't know if that answered your question, but
no, definitely. So when we're born and we come to this world as a little innocent child, do we have intuition in us already?
It's a sense, just like our eyes. Well, this is the thing with some people are born blind, so they can't see, right? Well, some of us are born with the ability to intuit our world, but we become blind to that intuition because of our circumstances. So we all are intuitive, no matter if we have a mental, physical handicap or not. So intuition is that subtle energy that's constant and it's innate, no matter if you have all of your five senses or not.
Interesting. Okay. And so what happens as we go through life to diminish our intuition?
Yeah. I feel that it's the external influences, and all of us have, I would say, core wounds. Maybe our core wound is rejection. So how can I act intuitively if I'm always afraid of getting rejected? So I might build a survival mechanism to move through my life in a way that kind of squishes my intuition so that I can feel safe. Yeah, it's about safety, and everybody has their own mechanism for how they feel safe in the world. Whether like real time, let's put it in real time. Some people are really scared about losing their home or their finances. And they might be operating from a place where they don't want to act on their intuition because it's going to cost them something. It's going to, it might be expensive to quit that job and go follow your dreams. So if core wound is running the show, that's going to be inhibiting your intuition to act out. Yeah.
So how does a person reverse that?
That again comes to this awareness. Like, okay, what are my core wounds? Okay. Like, for example, when I use the example of going into the healing arts, when I was in a professional corporate technical job, I at first was really concerned about my status, my approval. Like I could care less about the money, but I was more concerned about how I was going to be perceived. That was running the show. And so it took me a little bit longer to really step out until I felt comfortable. Like, you know what? I don't give a rat's ass what people think about me. And when I healed that within myself, then I could step out. Now, some people are really bold and they can just step out no matter what and go through their survival wounds all at once. And wow, kudos to them. But I couldn't do that. I had to get comfortable with that core wound that I had, which was maybe being rejected from my, highly intellectual tribe.
Ooh, that's interesting. I've never heard that phrase, get comfortable
I just made that
with your
up
core
just now.
wound. I like it. I like it because we talk so much about, well, we've got to heal the wounds. We've got to, diminish the fear.
Yeah,
we've got to do that. But you're saying just get comfortable with it.
I'm always going to care what people think because I'm a very nurturing, empathetic person. So I am always going to consider what somebody else has to say. Yet I'm not going to base my decisions and what I do just because somebody doesn't like what I'm going to do. So, there's a healthy balance, because I don't want to err to the side of the rebellion and just say, F it. You know what? I don't care what anyone thinks, because you know what? Sometimes people are making choices for their children, for their spouses, because there's real life challenges that come up. You don't want to quit your job if you've got, 4 babies to feed. That's not very,
Sure.
That's not going to, you're not going to be supported, is what I can say. Because you're doing it out of like, I'm going to do this and power through it when you're like, these little babies need to be fed.
Yeah. So over here in the comments, Summer Wellness said, fear of others' opinions is one of the 3 primary fear triggers.
Okay. I felt it. So,
Yeah. I'd be interested to know what the other 2 are, Summer, if you have Summer's Wellness, if you have that. Okay. So, fear of the unknown. Yes. See, now that one makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they all make sense. Like, I'm sure. And I wonder, since they're the top 3, I wonder if we all can relate to them. If it's something that we all can relate to. So back to intuition, let's talk about. Well, first I want to share this. Okay. So the only regrets I have in my life are the ones when I didn't follow my intuition, and I can pinpoint them. I can tell you specifically, what I got the intuitive hit. I chose not to do it for whatever reason. And then I look back and I was just like, but I knew what I wanted. I don't even know if it's a should have or wanted to or whatever. What is it? What is the intuitive hit? Is it what you should do? Is it your calling? Is it what you want to do? What is it?
The intuitive hit. It's like this big package of information, and it holds all of the divinity of you. So all the most expansive possible choices, all the healed parts of you, all of everything, right? But then it's almost like you get this big expansive thought, right? And then, or feeling, or knowing, right? You get this big packet, and then it goes whoop, and it contracts into this 3-dimensional body, which is me as I am right now in this awareness. And if I hold in this body the wounds and the, trepidation of moving forward, I'm going to be operating from that place. So the more expansive this 3-dimensional body is, being more comfortable in this world that I live in, the more that I can operate from that big expansive packet of information. So it's almost proportional, like the information that comes in as we receive it and act on it is only proportional to how much expansive awareness we have in that given moment.
So when we get an intuitive hit, and I'm sorry if you answered this and I missed it, but when we get that intuitive hit, is it from, I'm just going to throw words out there that I've heard people use. Is it from the spirit? Is it the higher power? Is it the universe giving us messages?
My interpretation, and when I feel into this without any dogmatic religion or anything, I feel as though it's the field of possibilities. for my life that is talking to me, specifically to me. Like yours is specifically talking to you. But I also feel this very neutral position of that information, that it's almost as though it is more expansive than all of us combined. And it's like that level, that playing field goes around and taps on the shoulders of anyone who wants to listen to it. And if you're willing to listen, it will then start co-creating with you to actualize whatever it is that wants to express itself through you. Okay? That's my own feeling.
Yeah.
I have a connection to what I call the great mystery. I also call it God for short. And because it's just something that I just feel into, but it doesn't have any preferences. It's not like, oh, if I'm a good girl, then I get good things,
Okay, we lost video, but we're totally back. And Suzanne was sharing with us that it's all about talking about this energy. I don't know if you can recap what you just said.
Yeah, it's as soon as we start opening ourselves to this energetic field, I mean, the electronics start flickering and wigging out because there's so much information that it's almost like the computers can't hold this level of information. In fact, that's why I feel that humans are more powerful than this technology. This technology is great and it can hold a lot of information, but boy, I mean, when people start utilizing that renewable energy source that's within them, intuition, I mean, you can basically shut computers off.
Wow, that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So I was just about to say, to wrap up what Summer's Wellness shared with us, the three primary fears are: fear of other people's opinion is one of the primary fear triggers, fear of the unknown, and fear of failure. I just wanted to bring that and put a little bow on that, but that's good information. Thank you, Summer's Wellness. Okay, so Suzanne, we're getting into some good stuff here.
Okay.
So we have the intuition, and it's just possibilities. Right? So if we've lost touch through life, through whatever, through fears, through experiences, if we've, or even like I actually had this happen where I thought I was following my intuition and it ended very badly. A big major decision. And it took me a while to start to learn to trust my intuition again. Yeah. So anybody who's lost touch or didn't trust it or whatever, what steps can we take to get back into tune with our intuition?
Yeah, so I feel like I need to create a little bridge first.
Okay, please do. Yeah.
So that field of possibilities isn't intuition. That field of possibilities is the field of possibilities. But there's a messenger that takes the information from the field of possibilities and transfers that to us. And that's intuition. So intuition is the messenger.
Okay.
And we all have an internal messenger. So intuition is that internal messenger. Some call it the inner teacher, the inner guru. There's nothing outside of you. There is no external guru. It's all within. So when a person is not trusting their intuition, a lot of times it's we don't trust ourselves. And so I really want to unwrap that, because that's like, what? You're telling me I don't trust myself? Well, what it is that we're not trusting because there's a schism. There's a schism between our mental faculties and our intuitive heart. So our mental faculties are in like misalignment with our intuitive heart. And so there's this mistrust, there's this misexpression. So I kind of see it and I'm pointing at my throat because it's almost like the way that I communicate or the way that I move through life with my will. If I'm not in alignment, if my mind and my heart are not in alignment, I'm not going to trust the information. So there was probably some self-doubt, right? At some level, there was some self-doubt. And when I see self-doubt, I see it as like double vision. Like you've got one eye over here on what you want, and then you've got one eye over here on what it is that you really, really want, right? So
Mm.
it's like the things that you think you want
Mm.
versus the things that you deeply want in your soul, right? So it's almost like this double vision, and it becomes self-doubt. Can you feel into that?
Yeah, and I'm like mind blown because it's so easy to choose from things you don't want to things you want. It's
Yes.
when there's things that you want to things that you really want. No wonder there's confusion.
Yes. And that feeling is always going to trump the, okay, let me try to so when I want something, it's usually coming from a place of lack. I want that because I don't feel like I don't feel, oh gosh, I'm trying to feel into those places in me in the past where I wanted something, but it was coming from a wounded place. It was coming from a place of, I want approval. I don't want to be rejected. I want to feel safe in the world. So it's like a wanting. And so I think I want that thing, right? So I get an intuitive hit and it's like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's that. But then what I really want is peace. What I
Mm.
really want is to feel a sense of confidence. What I really want is fill in the blanks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm in double vision.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes those manipulative wants begin to dictate my actions. So then I think I'm acting intuitively, but I'm actually acting on egoic wounds
Mm.
instead of a healed ego. Because you know what? This is another thing, and this is a whole nother topic.
Okay.
Like in the personal development, it's
Yeah.
like there's all this talk about, you know, getting rid of the ego.
Right.
I feel that getting rid of our ego is not the most productive way. That's kind of a bypass of who we really are. It's
Mm.
it's having a healed ego. Like I'm going to have a personality whether I try to have one or not, and
Right.
that's my ego. But is my personality, you know, coming from a wounded place? Am I trying to be all smarty pants because I'm trying to prove something, or am I actually very intelligent and that's I'm coming from that place, you know, a healed ego.
Right.
So when we have an intuitive hit, and you know, like you were expressing, you know, you thought you were acting on intuition, but then in hindsight, you're like, oh man, that didn't end well.
Right.
It was probably because you were reaching for that mental what you could get from it, and then filling in the blanks of how to do it without stepping back and surrendering into the information and operating from that place.
Interesting. Interesting. And so, how do we practice becoming more in tune with the actual intuition instead of the other place? I don't know which way to point, but you were doing these. I'm
I
seeing.
know. I'm sorry. I use my hands a lot. Oh my gosh. Oh. So the first step for me has been to be honest, even if it hurts. Like when I'm speaking to myself, you know, like when I've been journaling, being very, very honest. Like, you know, say I'm in a relationship that isn't really the best relationship that I can be in, but yet everything looks good, right? Like house looks good, the shiny picture looks beautiful, but I feel something that's just not right. Well, in order to listen to my intuition, I need to get really honest with myself. So stop feeding myself lies. And when I feed myself lies, it sounds like this. I start to rationalize. I start to go, well, but this is what, you know, what is right now. And, you know, this feels good or whatever. It's kind of like a rationalization rather than really feeling into the honesty, which is, this relationship is not going to last. I can feel it in my bones.
And then what? And then how tricky when you're in a relationship that fits what you're talking about, where it's what you want versus what you really want.
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I also feel that we can create magic because sometimes we're in a relationship that just hasn't reached its potential yet. And it's actually going to have the potential in this lifetime. I'm not talking about the potential of like many, many lifetimes from now. Like there are
Right.
some relationships that just aren't going to work. Okay.
Right.
And then there's that, you know what? Let me just really heal in this relationship.
Uh-huh.
And then from that place, I might realize that what I'm experiencing is this is a whole nother topic, is sabotage. Maybe I'm just sabotaging something really,
Ah,
really good, you know, and I'm trying to get away from something that's really, really good.
so interesting. Yeah, so interesting. We have a great question over here that I'll pop up on the screen. Do you find that when your want is physical, you get less satisfaction than when your want is emotional or spiritual?
No. Oh my God, I answered that quickly. Interesting. I need to feel into this now because that was my first response. Okay, the reason why I felt into that, and I'm going to give you a reason, because I feel that it's really important to expand out into that field of possibilities and then come back into reality, this physical five senses, to give reasons, because sometimes we can give reasons to our spiritual response. Like I just was like, I got this like bolt of lightning and I was like, yes, your physical is just as important as your spiritual. Our spiritual essence wants to ground in and feel the sensations in our body just as much as we can imagine and dream into whatever it is that we want. Sometimes we create homes that reflect how we really, really feel. Now, is there something wrong with having a beautiful home that's beautifully decorated? No, it's an expression of how we feel. So the physical is just as important as the other aspects like spirituality.
That's really interesting. Because I think that people maybe more in the spiritual communities, you know, the messages that they seem to share is that any materialistic thing is bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what you're saying is it's just a manifestation of our spirituality to have beautiful things. Is that what you're saying? Am I following?
Yeah, it can be. It can be. And so it's not an either or. The thing about multidimensional selves is not either or. It's an integration of all of us, right? It's an integration of all the aspects of us, which includes the physical. In fact, that's what we get to. Can you imagine? Okay, just for a minute. Can you imagine if you were this expanded version of yourself and you had not become a body yet, and you're out there somewhere in this energetic field of this soup of sorts, right? And you had this connection with this other energy field over here, which may be your soulmate here on Earth, right? What if you felt that out in those realms? Can you imagine if you didn't get to have the body to make love to them, to eat food with them, to build a house with, to, you know what I'm saying? Like, can you imagine? Like, you'd be out there in that field, just like, like, I want that. Right? I want to kiss that person. I want to, touch that person. I want to go on vacations with that person. Let's go to Disneyland Earth and actualize it.
Wow. Disneyland Earth. I love that. Wow, Suzanne.
I grew up next to Anaheim, and so I went to Disneyland a lot.
No, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. So let's talk about, I just want to shift a little bit because I saw on your website, you talk about the 3 red flags, right? With regard to your intuition. So I was hoping we could cover that. And I see we're running out of time. So I'm kind of going there if you're okay with that.
Oh my gosh. So that was one of my most recent morning shower aha moments. There are many, many, many,
I
many
love
red
your morning
flags.
shower aha moments.
Oh, so I get some good insights in the shower, and a lot of people get insights in the shower. I don't
Uh-huh.
know, just that, flow of just the water, and you're just, kind of here but not there, and you're just
Right.
going through the motions of bathing
Right.
yourself, or if it's all those ions, I don't know. But I did identify 3 red flags. And if I can remember, those 3 red flags are, the first one is, do I not like the answer? Do I like the answer? If I have a thought, whether I like the answer or not, that's a red flag, because now I'm in preference. I'm in
Ooh.
this, I'm not in objectivity anymore. I'm more in subjective receiving of the information. So objectivity is very neutral. It's like, I don't like the answer. I don't not like the answer. It's just an answer, right? So intuition is just an answer. So if I don't like the intuitive information that I'm receiving, or if I really, really like it, that's a red flag. So either way, you want it to be neutral.
So any judgment on the answer.
Yeah, any judgment.
Wow.
Good. I like how you said that. Any judgment with the answer is a red flag. Okay.
And I pulled up the red flags, so if you don't have them on the top of your head, I can remind you.
Okay. I know there's another one, which is if you start jumping to how to make it happen. Mm-hmm. So if you're more concerned about how to make it happen, this is a red flag number 2, because this is what happens. We like the information, right? Mm-hmm. And then we start making it happen by filling in the blanks, because at this point in time, this is all irrational. Now I've got to find reasons and get the right people and, do all this stuff. So if you start jumping to the how to make it happen, you've lost you've lost the intuitive trail of dreams. Now you're in ego mind once again. Okay. Wow. So that's red flag number 2. Mm-hmm. This one is, I guess we talked about it a little bit. The red flag number 3 is it's the opinions of others. Whether we're going to increase our status in some way. The opinions of others. If we care about that, that is a red flag.
Huge. And it says, you actually use the word consumed. If you become consumed with the opinions of others, which is easy to do, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I've been there. Oh, my heart goes out to anyone who is in a situation where they know at some level something needs to happen or change in their life, and they're consumed by the external static, the information outside themselves, what their culture says, what their religion says, what their family says, what their spouse says, what their kids say. I mean, the list goes on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what's interesting too, though, I think that it's acceptable to care what your religion says. It's acceptable to care what your family, your kids, etc. But for me, it becomes even crazier. And I'm not saying I'm innocent, but it becomes even crazier when we start worrying about what complete strangers think of us.
Oh my gosh. So I've been there. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been there. It is like an addiction. It is an addiction to caring about the external so much that I forget who I am, or I have forgotten who I was, because I was so consumed by other people's opinions.
Yep, for sure. Okay, so you started something new. I think it's been 3 or 4 weeks. But you're doing something on Blab.
Yes.
Called Cosmic Pillow Talk.
Yes. So Cosmic Pillow Talk, it was born a couple of years ago. And it was born from this idea that I was connecting with another human being. We would have these great conversations. It was a friend of mine. We had these great conversations, and we're like, we've got to record this. This is awesome. And it was kind of in that sleepy state when you're, I call it when the lights go down and your mind unwinds.
Right.
That's when the real conversation begins. because a lot of times when we're hurried in everyday life during the day, we don't really get to have time to dialogue with the universe. So it was born from that scenario, and I've revived it with two other co-hosts, amazing co-hosts, Angela Levesque and also Lisa Martin Namey. And they are two people that I highly respect, adore, and as a threesome, as a combined effort, we bring in the body, mind, and spirit, and we start dialoguing with that field of possibilities. And then because of this medium, the video and the audio, it's so cool because you can't really lie when you're on video.
Right.
It's easy to kind of lie when you're typing an article, but when you're having this conversation, there's what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And so there's something really cool about that. And these three, including myself, individuals, we all value transparency. We all value, really being real and raw. So we have what's called Cosmic Pillow Talk, and it is a blab show. And we have it on Thursdays, 8 o'clock Mountain Time. And I think there's a couple holidays coming up, like Thanksgiving and maybe Christmas Eve, or I don't know, one of those holidays on a Thursday. Right. So we'll probably pre-record, but otherwise it's going to be live Thursdays, 8 o'clock Mountain Time.
That is so exciting.
Wow.
So which account are they scheduled under, though?
They're under Cosmic Pillow Talks. So it's CosmicPillowTox. So that's the Twitter account.
Okay,
and we started that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I looked for it under yours. I had forgotten that you had that other account until this very moment when you said it.
We just started a couple weeks ago, so there's like no followers, no nothing. We're brand new.
Yeah. No, that's great. So Cosmic Pillow Talks, TOX for the talks. Awesome. Yeah, that's exciting. So how are you liking it so far, this new format?
It has been so fun. I love the interaction. I love how Blab, the platform, it's set up so that we can not only have this, video, face to face, but they can hear us, and then we can also chat. And sometimes, it kind of overwhelms our senses, and so we're like, but I think we've done a pretty good job. We've had 3 shows so far, and this Thursday we'll be back on.
I loved it. I watched your very first one. I thought you guys did a great job on your first one. So yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so Suzanne, the way that I end every interview is I ask a random question out of the container. And so you get one pass, and it's okay. You won't hurt my feelings if you say that's stupid. I don't want that question. I didn't write them. What? This is a funny one. What, if any, unusual objects have you swallowed?
Oh my gosh. So I had to, can I talk about this one? I put something up my nose.
Sure. We can go anywhere you want.
I have 2 older sisters and a younger sister. And my dad used to chew Wrigley's gum all the time. And I thought, actually my 2 older sisters thought that it would be really funny if we chewed up a bunch of gum and then stuck it up my nostril. So we did. And I happen to have a very, prominent nose with some prominent nostrils. And so they thought it'd be really funny to see how many pieces of gum could go up my nose. So it went a little too far, and I had to go to the doctors. And my mom had to take me to the doctors and remove the Wrigley's gum from my nose. But I did swallow a penny. I did swallow a penny once. So I'm going to talk about the nose and the penny, or the mouth. I put a penny, let me back up. We had a swimming pool growing up, and we used to always put stuff at the bottom of the pool and then go and dive down and pick it up. So I was again with my sisters, and there's a running theme here.
I'm seeing it.
I need to my sisters, and they're like, you need to pick it up with your mouth. So I picked it up with my mouth. I got it up, and I think I cheated.
Wait, you went down to the bottom of the pool and picked it up with your mouth from the bottom of the pool?
Yeah.
That's impressive right there.
So I think I cheated and made air, or pushed, so that it would kind of the penny would move around. And then I got it in my mouth. I went up to the surface of the water, and my sisters were like, "Oh my God, you did it." And I'm like, "Yeah." And as soon as I did that, I inhaled it and I swallowed it.
So then did they believe you?
Well, they saw it because I came up with the penny in between my teeth.
That's awesome. I love that. That's awesome. Suzanne, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time and your knowledge. And if people want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I think the best way to connect with me is revivewithenergy.com. And Jenny, it has been so fun. I can't believe how fast the time goes by.
It goes by so fast. I know. I'm always surprised. There's always so much more I want to talk about. Yeah. But I mean, when we schedule for 45 minutes, and I don't want to take up more of your time because I know you've got stuff to do.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for joining. And remember to live well, have fun, and love others.